Hello everyone, Bashar here. Today we are going to analyze the Fusion champion Oella. She is a legendary champion from the Silver Watchers faction, which is the recent added faction. And I stated in my Fusion calendar analysis video, but I definitely think she's worth going for because of several reasons. One of the reasons is that you already do a lot of the work required for a fusion while you're naturally playing the game, right? The extra ask is not too much. I mean, even regular fusions, it is a bit heavy on the energy, but still it's not that bad. And the second reason is that Silver Watchers is a new faction and it will get a crypt, faction war crypt, open soon, and this is a good chance to get a legendary from the Silver Watchers faction. For example, I have 0 legendaries right now. I mean, of course some of you could have some, but still then another legendary would not hurt. And let's see how good she is. But before going into that, she doesn't seem that good, but the thing is she has a partner, and today something interesting was revealed. So there is a chance that she can be very good. I'll get into it after analyzing her. So she has a partner called Ultan. Her partner is from the Dark House faction, not the same faction. So I will talk about the booked versions. So she puts up a decreased speed debuff on an enemy, which is decent in Iron Twins and Hydra, right? It's not very good because it's not AoE, but in Iron Twins it's very useful because if the guy doesn't have a decreased speed on him, he gets crazy. So there's also that. And the thing is, the accuracy requirement goes away if you have Ultan on the team as well. So about the lover synergies, guys, this is the most synergies I have seen for lovers, right? Because normally one partner has a synergy with the other and the other has a synergy with the other, and that's about it generally. And this time these have like 2 synergies each or even more. I mean, I think they have like 5 synergies added up, and normally it's 2, right? 1 for the other and 1 for the other. So this is good. And the accuracy requirement going away also has the added upside of getting rid of that pesky 3% base resistance that you could not get rid of, right? Because as you know, even if you have 1000 accuracy and they have 0 resistance, you still have a 3% chance to get a resist on your debuff application. So this not only takes the accuracy requirement away, it also takes the 3% base resistance away as well, which is not bad at all. And this is her healing ability. She heals the entire team by 55%, which is definitely good, on a 3-turn cooldown as well, and increases the duration of all allied buffs, which is great, right? I mean, if you have block buffs, if you have shields, if you have strengthen, if you have increased, like whatever you have gets extended by a turn, which is definitely not bad, and the heal is pretty good. And the final ability, other than the passive, is very good. 3-turn cooldown, 30% turn meter, and it goes for herself as well. So you are basically spending 70% of a turn to do this, right? And you get 30% on everyone. So in dungeons, this gives you a total of 150 turn meter, right? So to speak. I mean, 5 members of your team get 30% each, and in Hydra you get 180%. And also puts up a 50% increased resistance buff, which is, you know, pretty rare in this game. So that's also useful. Say if you have like 250 or so moderate resistance, it goes up to 375 and you suddenly start resisting everything, which is also pretty useful. So she's a very nice support in my opinion, and she has a passive that says if one of your allies receives more than 15% from a single hit, then she puts up a 15% continuous heal buff on that ally. And here comes the crazy part. If her partner is on the team, she puts 15% continuous heal buff for 2 turns and immediately activates one. Which means, say your character takes 20% damage, and then this happens, so you actually have taken 5% damage and you have a continuous heal on you that heals you for 15%. It actually means negative damage, right? This is pretty crazy. And the craziest thing is, it doesn't work on Ultan only. If Ultan is on the team, it works for everyone, right? Which is pretty great. The aura is a bit weird. 75 resistance in dungeons only. Well, that's about it. So the thing here is, guys, normally, okay, we get this from Fusion, and then what? We are stuck, right? Now, the thing is, this time they did something nice. A champion training tournament started right before the Fusion did, and it is unrelated to the Fusion. I mean, it doesn't give any Fusion pieces, but the thing is, it gives her partner to the winner. Right? Let me show you. There he is. As you can see, gives Ultan to the winner. Of course, this will be very hard. I mean, winning these tournaments are very hard. This generally can work for the relative low level players. At higher levels, there are always crazy guys out there who invest in the game. I mean, who invest a lot in the game. I have invested in the game myself, but I mean, this is hardly winnable for me, right? 6,000 points already, and it will last a whopping 5 days, which is the max duration for a tournament. So there's that. So let's analyze the partner and see how good it is. I mean, they are on their own, and the partner is from the Dark House faction, by the way, this one. So they are on their own above average legendaries, right? But together, they are, I mean, not as good as Marichka and Taras, I believe that's their names, but still pretty good. Maybe not on the Sephirothos level either, but slightly lower, because the number of synergies they have is insane, right? I mean, on their own, they are one tier below, but together, they get much stronger than the other couples, because the other couples receive, like, as I said, one synergy per partner. These guys have a total of 5 synergies or so. So let's take a look. So this guy applies a decreased defense debuff with a 50% chance, but attacks twice. So you have a combined chance of 75% of applying it. And if your partner, the Fusion legendary, Oella, is on the same team, it will ignore 50% of the target's resistance, which is actually pretty insane, right? I mean, you get some mediocre accuracy like 200, 250, and you are getting actually 92% of applying your debuffs on a 500 resistance, right? And a 500 resistance is insane. I mean, this guy is the guy that can apply debuffs to Mitrala, which is very good. Of course, you have to have Oella on the team as well. And also, he has a 100% chance of removing any increased def debuffs, and cannot be resisted. So accuracy is not needed for that, which is insane, right? Of course, this is mostly PvP, but it's a good ability. It's just that, by the way. I mean, the second part of the ability is just that. It just removes any existing increased defense debuffs. So the second ability is removes all the existing debuffs on him, heals the champion for 20% for every debuff removed. And also, then he will open up a shield, which is any wasted heal from that ability, right? So for example, let's say this guy is on 55% HP and has 3 debuffs on him, right? So they all get removed. He gets healed by 60%, but he cannot be healed by 60% because he's on 55% HP, so he gets healed by 45%, and the exceeding surplus heal is 15%, so he will have a 15% shield on him. And then he will attack an enemy and will ignore shields, and the damage is actually increased by 20% for every debuff removed by the skill. So in the case of our example, he will deal 60% increased damage, right? Because we were removing 3 debuffs in the scenario. So 3 debuffs will 60% increase damage. We also, of course, have to see the multipliers, but they all look nice when we look at without multipliers. So last ability is for the Sand Devil. It looks like attacks everyone, puts up a sleep, and will again ignore 50% of the resistance if her partner Oella is the same team, and whenever those sleeps expire, this guy gets 15% turn meter, which is great. And this has a 3 turn cooldown, this has a 4 turn cooldown. The reason I am analyzing these cooldowns again is this passive, which is insane, especially with Oella. Normally it's not that good, but with Oella it's very good. So 15% chance of decreasing a cooldown of this champion. 15% chance by 1 turn. A random ability's cooldown gets decreased by 15% by a turn with a 15% chance every time they get healed from a continuous heal, right? But if Oella is on the same team, this chance increases to 30%. So imagine, guys, they hit this guy for 40% of his health, right? Oella immediately puts a continuous heal on him and immediately triggers that, right? So the damage he took actually is down to 25% now, and this also triggers a 30% chance of reducing a random cooldown. And at the beginning of his turn, he gets another 15% heal, bringing the damage he took to actually 10%, and he will have 2 tries of 30% chance of reducing a cooldown. And as you can see, the passive doesn't have an internal cooldown, right? So every continuous healing triggers this. I'm not sure if the continuous healing has a chance to trigger metabolism if the guy is already on full HP. I'm not sure. We'll have to test that, but pretty decent. And his aura is, I believe, 30%, yes, and all battles. So normally I wouldn't have gone into this sort of analysis, but this time we actually have a chance of getting this guy, right? The tournament gives it to the winner. And for those of you who are at level 100 or level 90s, it would be very, very hard unless you have a huge stockpile of food lying around. But for those who are at lower levels and have some chickens or energy saved, you can go for it, and I say you should go for it because that is very winnable. But I'm also, of course, not very sure on the level limit that receives Ultan. I would guess it's above level 50. I mean, if your account is lower level, maybe you don't get Ultan, but some other champion instead. So let's take a look here. Yeah, because your level determines these rewards. Because we had a tournament relatively recently, a few months ago, maybe 2 months or so, gave Bedar Kazar to the winner, but actually gave a bad epic to the winner on lower levels. And we had a tournament that gave Ultimate Death Knight. No. Yeah, I think that was fixed, but we had a tournament where it gave Tormin to the highest level and gave the Ogrin Freeze Synergy Legendary to level 70 to 90, which was my bracket, and for lower it gave something else. So the rewards can change, but as I said, if your reward is Ultan and if you think there's a chance, you should go for it. But I will remind you that the event lasts for 5 days. So the correct way would be to have a decent score most of the time, not on top, but burst in the last few seconds so your opponents can't react, right? So for example, if you're sitting at the top like 15k points and the guy has 13k points and he bursts you in the last second, then you can lose, right? The best way would be to be a few k before the leader and then burst them in the last second. And how do you burst? So I mean, it's not very complicated, but I will tell you. So the battle can be a nice source of points, right? For example, let's take a look at this. Okay, so my Jamar says 6 stars and level 1, right? And if I use a battle on her, that gives me 472 points because I am actually leveling up a 6-star character 59 times, and that's 8 points per level. So there's that. Also, you could use the feast on a low star. So for example, you get a 3-star champion, let's say this guy, and you use I mean, this guy is not red, but assume a decent rare like cold art maybe. You use feast on him, so she immediately becomes 4 stars, 5 stars, and 6 stars. You get all of those points. There's also that, and of course these are luxury items which you should not have many of, right? So what then is the burst? My advised burst is this: you keep a few level 40 food, right? So as you can see, I have 6 here, and enough 4-star food to get these guys up to the next level, right? So let's say I have 10 here for the sake of an example, which means I need to have 40 4-star food, right? And I keep them at level 1, the food. And when the time comes, I give them each 3 or 4 brews depending on my silver reserves and brew reserves. If I feed 4-star food 3 brews, then they climb up to level 18. If I give them 4 brews, they climb up to level 21. And these give 51 and 60 points respectively per food, right? So in the example we said 10 food, 10 4-star level 40s and 40 food, right? So let's say I gave them 4 brews each, which would mean level 21 and therefore 60 points. So 60 points for 40 food is 2.4k points, right? And then I upgrade them to rank 5. I upgrade these guys to rank 5, which is another 100 points per upgrade, which is 1,000 points. So we are up to 3.4k points now. And then we give each of them 5 brews and a 1-star champion to get them to level 23, which is another 132 points. And since we have 10 of those, that's 1,320 points. Let's just go around and say 4.7k now. And finally, we give those 5-star champions to level 50 champions and upgrade to level 6. 6 stars, that is. That's another 600 points, 300 points per. So where were we? 2.4, 1, 1.3, right? And 600. 5.3k and brew the last few. So this amounts to 6,000 points, which you can do probably in like 15 minutes, which is very nice, right? So what you save is 2 5-star level 50s, 10 4-star level 40s, and 40 4-star level 1s. And this adds up to approximately 6,000 points in about 15 minutes. So imagine you're in position in rank 4 or so, and the leader is about 3,000 points above you, right? 3k above you. And in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you do this, boom. You have a very solid lead, which definitely can't be countered by doing campaign or anything. That's normally possible. They have to do something of the sort. The real risk here is though, if they do something like that, then all of your investment goes out of the window, right? Because I mean the second place reward is nothing compared to the winner, right? Let's take a look here. Well, it actually is not that bad, right? But you missed the legendary. I mean, you still get the legendary book, which is great. You get 6-star epics instead of 6-star legendaries for Relentless set. That's a loss, but still not bad. And you get 10 rank charms instead of Ultan, which is a huge loss. And as I said, this is no small investment, by the way. I mean, 2 level 50s, 10 level 40s, 40 4-star food, and a lot of brews and a lot of silver. And of course, as I said, you can use the brews and barrels for extreme burst, right? Because they work in seconds and award a huge number of points. I mean, brews are not able to keep up with that, or maybe even if they are, I mean that would be very costly and that can't be kept up for sure. So there is that. So you should try to snipe a win here, but of course, as I said, don't go just going all in. Don't go all in and lose everything, right? I mean, just keep it at half, because some guys, for example, this guy 6,000, right? I mean, I think my tournament is already lost because I can get here and I can get above that, but the problem is I am facing a person who managed to score 6,000 points in 4 hours. He can score much more, most likely. So I'll just go for the legendary book and just stop there. But if it looks hopeful, then you should go for it, right? And the best way to approach is, as I said, just keep those fools at the ready while making a decent score. And in the end, if it doesn't look like you can burst them down, just grab the legendary book and be on your way and save the food for the upcoming champion training events, because we will need to train them anyway. Which are part of the fusion. But as I said, this is a very good reward because these are both above average legendaries and together I would say top notch. I would say very, very decent. The number of synergies they have between themselves is 5, and as I said, a normal couple has like 2, maybe 3. 5 is quite high. Getting rid of the accuracy requirement for Oella, healing the entire team with the passive, healing the entire team more, ignoring 50% of the target's resistance for your debuffs, getting cooldown reduction on your skills. As you know, I mean, Reflex is one of the best sets in the entire game, and it just does that, right? So, I mean, it does something similar. And you have a Reflex set like passive built into the champion, which is awesome. They will work excellent in Hydra. They will work very good in PvP as well. I mean, together. On their own, I would say they are above average. I wouldn't say they are very good or something. I mean, it would be exaggerating things, but together they are very strong, and now we have a chance of getting them together, right? Because normally getting these out of shards would be I mean, it would require a lot of luck, right? I mean, there are hundreds of legendaries in the game, like 100, and I believe there are 160 or so colored ones. I mean, blue, red, or green, and around 50 voids. So, I mean, getting this normally, naturally, would be not very easy, so to speak. But going for this one is definitely very good, and the other rewards are very strong as well. 6-star legendary relentless set, legendary book, all very nice. So if this is within your reach, you should definitely consider burning some additional resources. But as I said, use caution. Don't invest if you're not going to win, right? I had a similar thing happen to me. It was just a regular champion training tournament with the reward being these, right? There was no Ultan. There was just the legendary book and the 6-star legendary artifacts, and I had a lot of energy at spare, so I used the energy and I took the first spot. Like I was like maybe 1.5k, maybe 2k ahead. So I was like 17k and the guy was 15k maybe, or maybe 16k versus 14k something. And in the following morning, where it's about the end, I woke up and the guy was like 2.5k or so ahead of me. And I thought I can actually catch that guy up, but what if he goes, he invests more resources in? And the thing is, he was online. I mean, I could see his points rising, so increasing. So if I go all in and miss and don't get the legendary book, then it's very bad for me, because other champion training events are coming and I have some fuel that I can use in those, right? So I just said, okay, sir, you win. Hats off to you. And in the end, he managed 20k, which means I most likely would have lost, right? I had some burst save in the way that I explained to you, just only smaller though, a smaller burst, maybe like 4 level 40s. So my burst would have been maybe around 3000. And it was very risky because he was 2.5k or so ahead of me. So even if I burst and go like 500 points ahead, what if he beats me, right? Because he was online. If his points were on a standstill, then it would have been worth trying maybe. But at the, like that, it was too risky, so I let go. So anyway, guys, I definitely think the fusion is worth going for because of these reasons, and you should try your chance at this one. I'll see you on stream on Twitch if you drop by. Bye bye. See ya.